Make sure your heels. Ow. God bless everybody. Go Browns. Oh, I almost said something, but I don't want bullet.
Bulletin board with you, right?
Yeah, that shit. You guys are great. All right, see it. Are you guys recording me?
Yep.
Thanks, Dave.
So, Joe, what was your reaction to seeing Joe traded to Cincinnati?
Yeah, I was shocked. I was actually with my youngest daughter at home, and I was kind of like scrolling Instagram, and I was like, "Is this a fake account?" You know, like I saw an NFL like post, and then you know, saw it. I reached out to him. I think everybody was a little bit shocked. You know, he's like just such a vet, such a leader. Obviously, you know, we wanted to give him the reins this year and try and give him a chance to, you know, rekindle some magic from 2023. But then you kind of look deeper into the picture, like it's unfortunate part of the business, and I think we want to try and see what our young quarterbacks have, and he was, you know, probably a good backup to have, but like in the grand scheme of things, like they were probably ready to give the young guys a chance, and you know they got a draft pick, so that's their mindset, I think. But yeah, we were a little bit shocked, but you know, you sit back and you kind of look at a big picture, and you're like, all right, he has a chance to play now and go do his thing.
What about just the reaction with Greg then getting traded?
Yeah, that was late too last night. You know, I had got a text from somebody else saying we traded Greg, and I wasn't sure. You know, obviously he's been here for 5 years, like done a lot for our team, was playing really well this year, and just a great personality, like just a guy that you like having around. You know, Coach Fancy told us this morning and just said like, you know, we traded him for another corner that you know we believe is a good corner in this league, and so. At this point, they think, you know, they're trading a starter for a starter, and they you know, maybe fits better in our scheme and stuff. But anytime you lose guys in this league, you realize it's like the business of it. And you know, we'll kind of see how it goes from there.
So it is a business, but does it create a feeling in the locker room like nobody knows who's next, any uncertainty at all?
I don't think so. Like, you know, I don't think so. I think if you look at those situations, playing like we traded a player for a player at the same position, and you know, we traded our quarterback that was a starter, who is, you know, now going to be back, and we have a lot of young guys in that room that they probably want to see get reps. But no, I think we're focused. We have an urgency this week to try and get a win.
So do you still feel like then, just based on how you're describing those trades, that the commitment to winning is still there?
Yeah, I think yes, I think so. You know, we look at it like the NFL's most cliche thing is a game of inches, and you know, we're a couple plays away from being, you know, 3-2, and another play away from being, you know, 1-5. Unfortunately, I think there's a good team in here, and I think the organization still feels that way. We have to find a way to get wins, to put it on the board, but I don't think anybody in this locker room is not focused on trying to win the next game.
Tough situation last week for Cam Robinson. What do you see him doing this week?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you get picked up or traded, and then you end up, you know, flying to London and doing that thing. But I think he's getting more comfortable with the playbook. Like, I think he's understanding what we do. He's played a lot of football, and so I think he's gonna definitely feel more comfortable if he gets a shot to be out there.
The back was okay after the long flight?
Yeah, we made it good. They take care of some of those flights, but we made it there and back, so we're feeling all right now.
How do you think Dylan can grow in that second start, and then what tips can you give him about playing that Steelers defense?
Yeah, he did some good things. I think you know, it's like your team. You want to see the most growth from week 1 to week 2. Like as a quarterback, you want to see a lot of growth as well. I think you play a full game. You get the experience of calling the plays, checking plays at the line. Like, it's easy on paper, like to think, oh yeah, if there's a 3 technique over here, but then when you get out there and actually see it, you know, it makes those calls real. But I think he's taken a big step. Like, he's always had a grasp of the offense, and he's continued to study and be good. So I think you know, it was a you know, again, London, Minnesota Vikings defense, like, doesn't get much easier to go to Pittsburgh now and play in a hostile environment. I think they realize, like, he's played so much football in college, like, it's a big rivalry game. Like, it's going to be loud, it's going to be rambunctious. Like, they're a good defense, and we got to, you know, as an offense, we got to give him a chance, play on time, and protect him to see if we can make those plays.
Joel, in terms of the running game, do you guys, I mean, you really need to get the passing game going so that you don't face the stack boxes for Quinn Sean, right? I mean, what can you do maybe to get that going?
Yeah, I mean, if we can keep, I think everybody's seen Q. He's a heck of a player, and we want to try and get him the ball as much as possible. So anytime we can do that is a good thing, and we think it will open up the passing game if we keep giving him the ball and then taking those shots. But if they want to load the box, then we do have to take those shots. We have to find a way to protect and make big plays happen to open it up for us.
Joel, about Quinshon, after the game, one of the defensive linemen said something. Said Nick Chubb. Mike Tomlin said Nick Chubb in reference this week. Do you see any similarities there?
Yeah, I mean they're both great great running backs. I obviously had a lot of experience with Nick, and I remember his rookie year when he came in and splashed, Oakland game and had some more carries throughout the year, and I think he almost got to 1,000 that year. But yeah, you see, I mean, dynamic running backs like they just make plays and they make people miss, and they find the hole and they run for three. Plays block for 3 and they get 5. Those type of similarities for sure. I see those things.
Joe, you've seen a number of rookie quarterbacks now go into Pittsburgh. Is it your experience that experience causes them not to play their best?
I mean, I think it's just a tough place to play, a tough defense. Anytime you face them, and so we obviously haven't had much success playing there in my whole career, and so I think it's just a tough environment in general, and they have great players on their defense that make plays for them, and we have to do a job to make it a little bit easier for them.
As you're watching this film, the Steelers sacked Carson Wentz 6 times in Dublin. So is that kind of a daunting task to go up against Cam and Alex and TJ and those?
Yeah, they're great front. Obviously TJ Watt is who he is, and then Highsmith and Herbig are Highsmith's been out for a little bit, but Herbig's been playing great on that side, and obviously Cam Hayward still doing his thing on the inside. They drafted a first-round guy, fifth-round guy. They rotate guys on the inside. So that's the thing, you have 4 or 5 rushers, and they like to bring 5, so you're one-on-one a lot of the time. But it's a great defense, a great test for us, and we're preparing to try and take it on.
When you've gone against a guy like Cam so many times, I mean, you face him twice a year. You guys have both been around for a long time. Is there any, I guess, what's that like when you go against that guy constantly and have gone against him so much?
Well, there's no surprises, right? Yeah. You go into the game and his best rushes. He knows how I like to block him probably. They have some some different wrinkles here and there, but at the end of the day, it's all right, I know I'm going to block 70% of the time in the game, and he lines up over me most of the time as well. So all that stuff is familiar, but then getting to Sunday, it's it's a big challenge because he's a great player as well. So there's definitely a little bit less uncertainty, but obviously the expectations of the actual game are there, and it's always going to be a good battle.
Joel, that defense and the fact that they already have 10 takeaways, what are you seeing on film? What are they doing well on some of those splash plays?
I mean, opportunists. The ball finds them. They get their hands in passing lanes. It seems like when they need a big play, they've made it so far this year. We stress the turnover battle, and they've kind of lived that this year, and they're making plays. And I think they're 3-1 because they have won the turnover battle, and they just find a way to get the ball. So we have to do everything in our power to protect it.
I think like Jack really graded out really well in his pass blocking for this past game, coming off of the elbow surgery. What does that say about him to go out there and play that well, knowing that he's probably not 100% with that elbow either?
Yeah, we were happy to have him back. It was a little tough stretch there for him, but he came back and he played well and he fought, and he knows he has a big battle this week. But it was just great to have him out there and great to have him competing.
When you talk about being a couple inches away from 3-2, 0-5, do you look at the AFC North and think to yourself, man, this seems wide open given everything that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but see the standings, obviously. But right now we're so focused on just trying to be the best version of ourselves that it's hard to be like, oh yeah, and week 12 we're gonna be here. So right now we're just trying to put an offense out there that can compete and try and find a win against the team leading the division.
Joel, how much what kind of looks is Quinshon giving you guys offensively with not just the consistency, but he's showing the ability to break off those massive runs.
Yeah.
I don't want to compare him to Nick at all, but the fact that it feels like you've got maybe your next consistent running back.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, anytime you can find one of those guys in this league, it helps. we just keep finding more ways for him to get the ball. Like there was a couple little boots and catches in the flat that he can turn into 10, 15-yard gains. The breakaway runs are awesome. Like it's nice. Like the third quarter, we ran the ball down the field, but when you can have those 30-yard runs, like on the first drive of the game, or that 50-yard one that got called back, those are game-changing plays. Like the explosive plays, like a lot of those come in the passing game. But if you can get 3 or 4 in the run game in a game, then I think you're doing something on offense. So it's great to have him, and hopefully we keep finding ways to get him the ball.
I wanted to ask you about that 32-yard gain on it. I mean, y'all, the offensive line kind of just opened this massive hole, allowed Quinshon to get up 32 yards. Kind of what is going on the offensive line that allowed y'all to kind of split the Vikings defensive line there?
Yeah, it was there. I think they were in their base defense, and we kind of ran a zone to the right side. And so, the front side had a great double team. I think White pinned the linebacker. Poe reached the nose guard, and I think we were working on the backside, like a B block, up to the second level, and I think we both won our block. So I think everybody on the O-line that time kind of won their block, and when you do that, there's big plays that happen.
Yeah, and I know Quinshon, maybe there were 3 Viking linebackers, secondary players there, and then he kind of just bounced to the outside, running up the sideline to get that. What does that say about his explosiveness?
Yeah, I mean it's awesome to see. Like I get too excited sometimes. Like I threw my hand up, I think, and I was like, oh, he still has a long way to go. Like I was hoping he scored, but no, it's great to see him. Anytime we can get him on corners and safeties, past the first and second level, we like those matchups.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Jason.